She talked me down, and the first thing she said is, "Well, did you go back to your bus stop where you got off?" And I said, "Like, well, yeah, of course." It's just like, well, you don't do that. There's probably a bus stop on the other side, and yeah, there was. I saw it because another bus stopped there, and I was just like, if that's 43, why is this 43? Okay, so now with that said, a lot of you are probably, smacking your heads and saying, duh, but, I'm from Wisconsin. Two, I've only lived in two cities that have had bus routes, that have had public transportation. And three, I never take it because I love my car. I will never give up my car. F the environment. I'm going to take my car wherever I go. And it's also because I don't like riding with people since this happened. And that was a big thing. Someone asked about what was it about the subway that you were afraid of, or what it was. And basically it's being in crowds of people that I don't know, a diverse group of people, which I, again, am not accustomed to, and scary people. Like I said, I've never had to take the bus before, and what cemented that in my mind in Madison when I moved there, not too long after I moved there, someone got on one of our buses, threw gasoline on the people, and lit them on fire. I'm not joking. You can ask Bruin Witt if you want. Yes, these people were burned and scarred for life. And a couple years later, after they got out of rehabilitation, before they moved, I think they moved from Madison since, but they went around town, and I managed to see them. And God bless them and everything, but they did not look human. Their features had melted off, but they put up a fight, and I admire them for that. And well done for them. So maybe that was sitting in the back of my head, but I've never had to use the bus system before. So I immediately got angry, and then had a good laugh about it, because I thought, if you're going to take bus 43, this is just my opinion. Okay, there should be one bus 43, and it should do one thing: is go from here to there. Okay, if you're going to have another bus go north to south, give it another freaking number. That's just my opinion. And then she laughed and said, well, it probably was going to make a big loop, and it would probably stop at the stop I was supposed to be at. And, I didn't know that at the time. So, this was my first public transit ride, bus style. And so, then I went to my tirade and started laughing about it, and laughed the whole thing off. And so I really didn't need I'm glad I didn't have the medication there, because I really needed to experience that. And I look back on it, and it's pretty funny now. And so I have now been told, when I go back to Madison, they are going to walk me through how the transit system works. Isn't that nice of her? Oh, just love you, sweetie. Yeah, I just deleted you off my LJ, so suck it. She made endless fun of me about it, and I do laugh about it now. So that was a little bit tiring. So I came back to my room. I ended up calling a taxi, and I just said, fuck it, I'm not going to try another bus. I just don't need it now. I just want to get home, and I really would like to have my meds. So came back to the apartment, came back to the hotel room, didn't take my meds still, but I did have a bit of a nap. It was a short one, but whenever I have something like that happen, it just drains me out. And if I know some of you out there have have panic attacks, and I don't know if it happens to you, but I get really tired after that. So then I decided to go to Golden Gate Park, and before I went, thankfully, I downloaded a map to my iDisk again. God, I love you, Apple. I love you, iPhone. And went to this place called Golden Gate Bike and Skate, and it was right across from the park. And there were a couple in that area, but I picked that one because I think it had some good reviews. Hard to remember now. And I decided to bike around and see the AIDS Memorial and stuff like that. So I went to the shop. It was 1 o'clock, and I decided that, after getting in there and speaking with the dude inside that, wow, this is a far cry from what I'm used to in Madison. From Machinery Row, Tim and Joe, this place was a dive, just an absolute dive. Poor equipment condition, and basically left on my own to find a bike, and I had to ask for a helmet. Now, I guess maybe probably San Francisco doesn't have a mandatory helmet law, or it's not in vogue or something, but you know. So I got my bike, and I went to Golden Gate Park, and I found the AIDS Memorial Grove. After a while, I have to say this wasn't the best park I've ever been to as far as designating where things are. It's pretty big, and I understand that, but it really needed better indications. As a bicyclist, I mean, there was an area off to the left, which was Hippie Hill. There's a picture of it, and the guy who was a total Monet or Manet, I can't remember which one it is. Looked good from a distance, not so much close up. But there was nothing indicating that. Only on a return trip around did I see the sign. So the sign was only visible coming from one direction on a two-way street, which I thought was very odd. So it was an experience in Golden Gate Park. It was very beautiful. A lot of tall trees, old trees. I don't know if they were. Don't think they would have been redwoods. I think they looked like cedars almost. But it was a very interesting place. I can see where San Franciscans would flock to it. I think an analogy might be what like Central Park is to New York, but on a lesser scale. It just had that feel that boom, this is where people came, because I think it's one of the bigger parks here. But the bike was very uncomfortable. It was poorly maintained. Helmet was all right, but it wasn't a pleasure to ride. There was something mechanically wrong with it. So after an hour, I returned it and then walked back across the street and continued on. And the only way I saw the AIDS Memorial is that I struck up a conversation with a woman with kids. Again, a woman. What's going on here? And she asked me where something was, and I said, I'm not from here. I'm just as lost. I'm looking for the AIDS Memorial Grove. And she goes, oh, it's right over there. And sure enough, off the road and off the path, there was this granite stone engraved that said AIDS Memorial Grove or something like that. Had those chiseled letters been filled in black, and maybe a sign closer to the road, would have been great. But enjoyed it. Very beautiful, very moving. Not the biggest, but a memorial doesn't have to be big. It just had a lot. I can't describe it. I have some pictures of it I'll put on Flickr, but having known people, knowing people with the disease, and having lost people, friends from it, it was kind of a moment. It was. It was a moment. So, after that, came back, was totally exhausted, put on some episodes of The Office, and fell promptly asleep for 5.5 hours. Yes, I slept my afternoon and evening away, and lost out on a couple of things I wanted to do because of it. But I needed to recharge, and I'm a little bit tired looking, which I look tired. It was a day. It was a day of challenges, conquering things, and some successes. So tomorrow's my last day. I have to do some shopping for someone's birthday's coming up. And now I think I'm going to finish watching Kathy Griffin, which is on the TV behind me. That's it for now. Stay tuned tomorrow, because there could be a surprise.